welcome into episode 22 of Reimer on the Road. And Scott, hard to believe. 22 episodes. And as promised, we broke Yellowstone into a two-part episode just because it was so epic to do. So we're going to get to that here in just a moment. A couple of updates, I guess you could say. We announced that we're going to have some special guests coming to us while we were in Yellowstone and then going with us down to Grand Tetons. They have come and they have gone, but that won't be in this episode.
No, not yet. You got to wait until Grand Tetons.
Yep, episode 23. We have arrived in Estes Park, Colorado, which is in the shadows of Rocky Mountain National Park, and we still want some feedback on what to do there. We just got here. We've got a whole week ahead of us. So if it's the Denver area, Estes Park, or Rocky Mountain National Park, drop your feedback.
Let us know. We've never been to this area. We have been to Denver, but we have not been to the area of Estes Park. And of course, definitely not Rocky Mountain National Park. So if you got any tips, send them our way.
Yep, looking forward to that. You guys have been great in giving us some feedback, not only on what to do, but restaurants and all those kinds of things. So we continue to appreciate that. But as promised, episode 22, the eastern side of Yellowstone National Park. Here we go. Roll the tape.
All right, so now we have shifted to Fishing Bridge. So now we're on the eastern side of Yellowstone. And so we decided to go up the eastern side of Grand Loop Road. So we hit both valleys, Lamar Valley, Hayden Valley. Saw lots of animals. We saw bison, deer, elk, and even, I think, pronghorn sheep, and then even saw a bear, which was exciting.
Okay, so before I'd ever been to Yellowstone, I'd heard of Lamar Valley. I think that's kind of like the most famous valley in Yellowstone. I had not heard of Hayden Valley. Both are in the kind of the northeast part of Yellowstone. They're both beautiful. The landscape is beautiful, but that's not the star of the show. The star of the show is all the wildlife you run into in both valleys. And so whether you go all the way up to Lamar or stay a little bit closer to where we were in Fishing Bridge to Hayden Valley, you're going to see plenty of wildlife. In fact, at one point, we saw cars pulled over, and you and I were saying, "Oh, there's some wildlife there," and we're like, "Oh, it's just another bison." It's like we saw so many bison, it's crazy. So I definitely recommend either valley.
And then we also hit Tower Falls, and then we made our way all the way up to kind of outside of Yellowstone, and we did the Beartooth Highway, which came recommended to us by Lacey Cobb family. They had done it on their trip back in, I think, June when they came, and so it was kind of something we knew was an option to do, it hadn't quite made the itinerary because it made for a longer day because we had to go further up. But we decided when we heard Lacey's, that we needed to go, we decided to do it. So we took a long day, beautiful scenery.
All right, let's test this water. It's Island Lake on the Beartooth Pass. Way up here, you can see some snow way up there. So we're up there, so let's see what this feels like. Woo, 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 woo. That's ice cold. Ice cold.
We went all the way up to Beartooth Pass, so we didn't go all the way on the highway, but what we did see was very scenic, lots of overlooks. I mean, just beautiful. I mean, it's just sort of a continuation of the beauty that you're seeing in Yellowstone.
Kind of look over all of the surrounding mountains, and even though it's not part of Yellowstone, you feel like you're still in Yellowstone when you're at the Beartooth. And I must say that I was not going to do the Beartooth because it's so far away. It's a long day. I mean, especially coming from Fishing Bridge. But Lacey and the cops talked us into it, and I'm so glad they did it because it is definitely worth. If you're in Yellowstone, it's worth another 2 or 3 hours to go on that highway and see some of those views.
But if you have the time to do it, it's absolutely worth doing it. We even stopped at the little Top of the World store that they had just for a little potty break and to do some shopping. So well worth doing Beartooth Highway if you are in Yellowstone. And of course the eastern side of the Grand Loop Road, we thoroughly enjoyed.
Okay, so when we were in Yellowstone at Fishing Bridge, we had a couple come up, very nice couple, and they had an alliance, had a paradigm. And so we struck up a conversation, which is, that's fun to do, and had a great conversation with him. And he had just been, or both of them, but I was talking to the husband, he had just been to the alliance, whatever they call it, the gathering up at Elkhart, like where everybody brings their alliances, big showcase, all that kind of stuff. And so he said he learned a ton of stuff while in Elkhart, Indiana, which I'm sure he did, about his alliance. And so during the conversation, he said to me, "Hey, I'm a little concerned about your cable that is going on your bedroom slide out. It's loose. It shouldn't be loose. It can cause a problem. It can malfunction. It can get tangled and wrapped up." And all that makes perfect sense to me when he said it. And so as I was looking at it, yeah, it was loose on the outside. And so I made an appointment at Fishing Bridge. They had a little RV maintenance shop there. And so before we came down to Grand Tetons, I stopped it there, and his name is Eddie, and he was outstanding, and he walked me through everything, and he's not concerned about it. And he said it's a little loose, but as soon as you engage it, it becomes tight, and that's the way it should be. We half slid the slide in, and on the inside checked how tight the cables were on the inside of the rig. He said everything looks great. He wouldn't mess with it or change it or try to fix it at this point. So we didn't. There has been no modification to the cable. It still droops a little bit. I'm watching it every time now. Ann brings it in and out. I'm watching it, and we've yet to have a problem with it since he mentioned it. But it's certainly on my radar. So, if those of you in the RV community, if you have any opinions on this, if you have some suggestions about, oh no, you need to get that thing replaced and get it replaced right now, or get it tightened right now, let me know. But Eddie at Fishing Bridge, I appreciate it. He took a hard look at it, and he just didn't feel like we needed to make a change right now. So we kept it as it is. So we'll keep you updated as we go through, and hopefully we won't have a situation where we can't get our bedroom slide in. That would not be a good thing.
All right, another area that we hit on the eastern side of Yellowstone was the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone that has the upper falls and the lower falls. And there are different ways. They have 3 different drives that take you into there to where you can get the views of these falls. There's the South Rim Drive, there's the Brink of the Upper Falls Drive, and then there is the North Rim Drive, which actually circles back into Canyon Village, into the canyon area. It has all these different little pull-offs and parking areas that you can go out and see the falls at different viewpoints. My favorite of the South Rim Drive was Artist Point, and my favorite for the North Rim Drive, I think, was probably a combo of Grandview and Inspiration Point. The Brink of the Upper Falls, I think they do have a hike that you can take, that you can go down lots of steps that we decided not to do. So really it just takes you to you're just looking over at the top of the falls. And so to me, it's not a great view. I think your better view is from the further parts, the further points of interest, which would be the Artist Point, Inspiration Point. But just some classic pictures that you can get. I will say, I think the morning light is better than the afternoon light, because I did end up going, we did go back in the afternoon as well, and the morning light was much better. So I think you're better off getting there earlier in the day versus later in the day.
Okay, so one day we decided to stick near Fishing Bridge and spend some time at Yellowstone Lake, which is almost in a way forgotten because there's so many other things to do in Yellowstone that you forget about. There's this wonderful lake and it's got a lot of scenery as well. So we went to the visitor center and kind of got some inside tip that there had been an elk that, unfortunately for the elk, had gotten in some mud and around a pond just up the east side of the Yellowstone Lake, and that the wolves were beginning to come and beginning to prey upon this elk. What ended up happening is, to make a long story short, they euthanized the elk because it couldn't get out of the mud. And so all of these photographers and all of these professional people that make a living out of documenting Yellowstone National Park were there. And so we went out that way that morning, even though we weren't really planning to do that. And we saw all the photographers there, and of course the elk that was stuck in the mud. We found out later, I think, Anne, that it wasn't the wolves that got to it first, it was a bear.
It was a bear, right. And that we've been seeing it on social media. So we're like, man, if that bear could have just shown up a few days before. But what was impressive is that elk, we were able to see, a photographer let us look through his lens, and all you could see were just the horns, Antlers,
yes,
the antlers, and then just the very tip top of his back, and that was it. Well, this bear pulled that elk out of the mud, which just shows you the sheer strength of the bear.
Incredible.
To do it in mud.
Yes.
I mean, he was able to do it with probably not solid footing.
Very impressive.
The Yellowstone Lake has some awesome overlooks.
Yeah, specifically the one we went to, I think twice, one for sunset and one just kind of trying to figure it all out, was Lake Butte Overlook. Very, very cool overlook. We actually went up both in the morning, and then we decided to come back in the evening and to get some sunset views. We saw some nice little ponds with some wildlife there, some otters and some different things. But that side of Yellowstone is beautiful as well, because a couple of things about that. It's very remote. There's not much out there at all. So you do see a little bit of wildlife, but it's not about the wildlife out there. It's about some of the scenery with the lake. a little bit of geological stuff. We stopped along the way to see some of that kind of buffers up to Yellowstone Lake. Yeah, that's just an extra bonus. I mean, I think the cool thing are the overlooks and the views of the lake. And our final trip or destination that we took on the eastern side of Yellowstone National Park was to some places that were right near Fishing Bridge. We just kind of skipped over them because we were going to Beartooth Highway, we were going to Lamar Valley and Hayden Valley and all of the Yellowstone, Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone. So we kind of skipped over them. So we went back to these, and these were nice little stops. They were easy to do because you just parked your car and just hopped right out. The Sulphur Cauldron, which is very reminiscent of some of the things that we did in southwest of Yellowstone with the geysers and Old Faithful and all those types of things. It kind of reminded me a little bit of that. Nice little boardwalk around, a little bit of elevation in the hike, but we were able to kind of see some pretty cool things in that regard. Mud volcano, also a neat little feature. Again, if you're into that type of stuff, this is just something you don't see every day. You just don't look like mud bubbling up from the crust of the earth. So that was cool to see. And then the final thing was another rapid, which of course Yellowstone has plenty of rapids. This was Lahardie Rapids. And again, very nice visual. Depending on the way the sunlight's coming in, it's a couple of great photos, but it's easy to get to. That's the thing about it. It was just all of these three things were so easy to get to that even if you just have a few minutes and all you can do is hop out of your car, walk 10 feet, take a picture, or take a look, it's worth it because you drive right by it when you go down the Grand Loop back to Fishing Bridge area, which is where we were staying. All right, so there you go, episode 23, Eastern Yellowstone. Just can't say enough about the diversity of this park. It is truly unique, I think, in what we've seen, at least from the national parks, because it's so different everywhere you go. I've got the map right here, which I think you can't see, but it shows that Yellowstone is huge. We talked about that in episode 21. But the figure 8 is a nice way to tour the park, where at each parts of the 8, top, middle, and bottom, there are these junctions. There are these things that have, general stores. Sometimes they have restaurants, restrooms, visitor centers that kind of break it all up. So you can chunk Yellowstone and utilize these junctions. I think is really well laid out national park.
It is, and like it's big, and so I mean, I think some people come in there and do an epic one day, and in fact, we did that a little bit with our special guest.
Yes.
But did we hit everything? No. But you can definitely go through in a day and hit some of the highlights. But I think breaking it down into the different parts like we did, I think it makes it more reasonable, and you're not having super long days where you're getting totally worn out every day.
And I know I said this, but I think it's worth noting again, is that every part of Yellowstone is in some ways different. And that's what I think makes this national park truly unique, because when you go to national parks, you go, when we went to Badlands, it was the Badlands, and they were awesome, but it was the Badlands. That was it, right? I mean, it was all one thing. Yellowstone
is geysers, mud pots.
Yes. Valleys, Grand Canyons.
Yes, waterfalls, animals, grasslands. And it's truly unique for the United States, but it's also truly unique for the world.
Well, the final thought about Yellowstone, we'll talk about our campground in just a moment, but I would definitely encourage you to, if you're going all the way to Yellowstone, however you get there and whatever the manner is, and you'll see this when we go to Tetons, the Grand Tetons in episode 23, they're close enough to where if you can somehow find a way to do both of them at the same time, I would recommend that. We'll maybe talk a little bit more about that after we do the Grand Tetons episode.
Yeah, especially if you're flying out there already. Yeah, tack on a couple extra days and do the Tetons as well.
Fishing Bridge campground. So as you may recall in episode 21, we were outside of the park in north of West Yellowstone National Park, but we stayed inside the park at Fishing Bridge. Very compact sites. Yes. I mean, we were piled in there.
And we were in the older section.
Yes.
So just when he says compact sites, there is a newer section that has bigger sites, pads, and all that kind of stuff. But we were in the older section.
That's right. But it does offer the advantage of being able to get to things quicker. Yeah. I think being inside the park, there is a unique and inherent advantage in that by being closer to everything. Also, actually, at Fishing Bridge, they had, as you saw in the video, a little RV repair place, or car repair, both. I mean, you could do either or the other.
A little grocery store had a little restaurant in it, fast food type restaurant. But it had the amenities, and there's a visitor center right there as well.
So I give Fishing Bridge a thumbs up in terms of the location and being right there inside of the national park and right near Yellowstone Lake. It was nice to break it up into two trips. I think if we would have been in either of the two places that we stayed for the entire time, it just would have made for longer days and harder to get to some of the areas.
Yeah, and it was, you could have done that, but it did kind of, I think it kind of shortened some of our days for us, which was good.
All right, so as you heard in the opening, we then went a little bit south with our special guest. They got to do a little bit of Yellowstone, and then they got to do the Grand Tetons, and that is episode 23. And if you can't wait for episode 23 for that, you can always go to Reimer on the Road on Instagram and get real time, right?
That's right. Yeah, I've already posted some stuff on the Tetons.
Yep, and Tetons are amazing. We're in Rocky Mountain National Park. We're in the shadows of it, so give that feedback as well. We'll get all of the Tetons and more in episode 23, but for now, thanks for following along. It's Ann, it's Scott, it's Reimer on the Road. Do it today.